Okay, so with that, Claude, welcome to this morning's conversation. I think it's really great to have Claude and a small NA like Luxembourg to show best practice around how he's really been able to focus on the development of young people, first and foremost, linked into player development pathway and coach education. So I think you'll be really getting inspired now by what Claude has to share and the work that he's done over the last few years to really put the child first and understand the child and make sure that coach education is there to support their holistic development. So with that, Claude, over to you. I'm looking forward to hearing those messages again.
Good morning, everyone. Do you first hear me? And second, do you see my presentation?
See you and hear you loud and clear, Claude. All good to go.
And the presentation is okay too? Yeah. Okay, so I'll go on. So before starting, I would like to thank UEFA for the opportunity and the trust, above all, the whole grassroots stuff. Frank, congratulations for your team, for a great team, and also with a special mention for Jamie and Stuart for the help they give us through the weeks to implement and with a C level. My presentation will not go that deep than the Sweden's. I will try to present you more the philosophy or the way we think football or youth football and the development of children in Luxembourg. And the first slide I have is, as everybody in the audience, I suppose, I built myself over the years to become what I am today. That's why I would start losing some words about me. Not that it is very relevant, but it can probably help for better understanding of our grassroots pathway over the last few years. So first, the shortest part of my curriculum, my time as player. The most important about it is that even though I've never won anything in youth football or senior football, I had the chance to have two youth coaches who really have marked me and helped me, helped build me as a man, as what I am today. I'm also the proud father of a motor skilled girl that is totally anti-sports, probably because of she's 16 years old, and we are a relatively sportive family, and she goes a little bit against that. And a boy who started and left football at the age of 5 because of a too specific under-7 coach. Nowadays he came back to football. He's even a football fanatic, and now thanks to a friend we had an under-9 coach who was able to transmit him the virus of football. Nowadays, I also have to confess that I learn a lot with him, because I never coached youth players, and through the experiences he does in football, it helps me in my work to understand kids a little bit better in football. As you can also read, my start as a parent in football was not the best one. I was an interfering parent, so that gave me also that experience. Until my wife told me one time, "Do you hear yourself during the matches?" And also my son, who told me, "Yes, I'm happy you to come to see my matches, but I have already a coach. I don't need a second one." So that brought me to question myself and try to be a better father also during the matches. Concerning my coaching pathway, I have to admit that I never thought of it before. Circumstances make me taste it. From that moment on, things went on without great planning until being appointed as a youth coach in the FA. First in the under-17, where I worked for 2 seasons, and then and now I'm also under-19 and under-21 coach, but always as assistant coach. And to finish, From September 2016, I'm full-time at the association as head of Grassroots and head of coach education. As you see, as a little federation, we have to be a little bit multi-skilled in the federation. That has his contrast, but also his pros. So I'm directly involved in the football school, National Football School of Luxembourg, and also in the coach education and the grassroots department. So the ways are closer when we want to implement projects or new ideas. To come to what really matters, I have to confess that I probably had the best start one can imagine as a head of Grassroots, because I was part of the UEFA Grassroots conference in Ljubljana. And in this Grassroots conference, I learned a lot. I can't underline enough the impact this conference had on me, with all the lessons I've learned, as well as the further study groups and share meetings and conferences I had the chance to participate in. I also confess that from this first conference, one of my big motivation was to be able to present one day the results of our work. Regarding the major lessons and principles we gained from that conference, I will come back to later on. From the moment we had some principles defined for our football, for our federation, we established an implementation strategy with 3 questions: where, with whom, and how. Logically, I took the areas under my responsibility. So the 3 I already mentioned: the coach education, the grassroots projects, to underline or to support our ideas, and at the end, the National Football School. We'll start with coach education, where one of the most important phrases we have in the coach education is keep it simple. Simple things are often the most complicated, but also the most important. So to convince people of our ideas, the first point we had was to make sure that we could reach as much as possible of people. And the best way to do it was to have them in our courses. For that, we ensure that people come, offering them a safe environment where their opinion is considered, and where they are actors of their learning. Our success is to see that the figures have increased in the last 3 years by 60%. So the people enjoy to come to us for learning a little bit about football, but first of all, for sharing about football. It's very important for us. From that moment, we try to gain their trust, and afterwards we start to convey our messages. At the end, simple things like values, we try to transmit them. The responsibility of one of them is, for example, the responsibility of the children's behavior we have nowadays is ours. We have the responsibility how children behave, so we have to behave ourselves correctly. Then kindness. We want them to respect the natural development of children, and every child deserves a coaching if he's a good player or not that good player. And one very important thing for us is that the coach must be aware that he's at the service of the player. He has to bring to develop the player individually and not develop himself as a coach. And at least equity. So football belongs to everyone. no distinction about that, and we try to adapt our coaching education in that way. Other major key messages we try to transmit through our coach education. One very important concerns the role of parents, but not just the parents, also the coaches and the teachers. And we ask our participants, because we want everybody in the courses, parents, teachers and coaches, above all in the first level courses and second level courses, and we want them to collaborate. Because their good collaboration ensures that the kids have a good experience in sport activity. Then that's a message for parents. Success or lack of success in football don't indicate what kind of parent you are. So if your child wins or loses is not that important. The one that's important is that you have a kid that is respectful, a great teammate, honest, and just has fun playing football. The third message we often say in our coach education is about coaches. Success of youth coach is not measured by trophies, but by the good development of the individual child as a player, but above all as a human being. And perhaps some of you have the question, what's about the logo of Facebook and Monopoly? It's because in our coach education we tell them then that be famous on Facebook, showing the trophies, is the same than being rich in Monopoly. So there's absolutely no, that's not important at all. And one of the last messages, key messages we try to give our candidates is to let kids play. Let them play, let them make their own experiences, always knowing that they can count as you as a coach, as a parent, as a teacher. So, but let them make their own experiences. We are convinced that's the way they can learn better. As I told at the beginning, we have the coach education, messages we give, the philosophy we try to transmit, and then we have actions to support our aims. I will show you some of them, and afterwards the three biggest we have. So the first one concerns women in football. We still don't have a specific course for women's football. We are working on it, but we propose courses, the same courses than the mixed courses, but courses where just women can enter. Why? Because of the will that we have to have also teachers, mothers, and educators in the courses. It can be that these persons never had contact with football before and with men in football. So we think that to give them a certain comfort coming to the courses, knowing that they are just with women, helps them to come to the first courses. We also tried to propose the second level course exclusive for women. But the experience we made was the one that when women come to the first course, they learn to know us as a structure, as an education structure. They feel trust, and they don't need a second level coach exclusive for women. They also come in the mixed courses. A second project we have is the Let's Goalie project. Is a specific project regarding to goalkeepers. So from the under 11 class ages until under 13 class ages, we propose a specific training once a week for little goalkeepers. No matter if they are talented or not, they can come for free to a specific session. This is, for example, one of the projects I learned from my son, because one time he was at home with a magnetic table to make tactics, making tactics, and he spoke to every player he had, just not with his goalkeeper, and he is a goalkeeper. And when I questioned him about that, he told me, yeah, Papa, my coach never talks to me. Goalkeepers know what they have to do, and that therefore I had the reflection of, yeah, when did I as a coach speak with a goalkeeper? I don't know anything about goalkeeping, so I don't speak a lot with them. So we decided that we had to propose something specific for the goalkeepers, because they are part of the game, an entire part. The third project I would like to talk a little bit about it is more a fair play project. The Red is Nothing for Us project. Through this project, we try before the start of the matches, the children to bring to the parents a little card, a red-yellow card with some messages on the yellow part, where the kid tries to give the parents the message to sensibilize them about their behavior during the game. The messages are like, respect the referee, respect my opponents, respect the decisions of my coach, as you learned me to respect. Let me play, let me have fun. These are the basic messages written on the card. And through the fact that the children bring the card to the parents, we try to sensibilize them more than if just telling them. The next three projects we have, or I would like to speak about, are projects we do in collaboration with the Ministry of Sports, and also the coach education structure of the ministry. The first one is about the administrative workers in the clubs. So we are working on a course to implement in the next years. The second one is a bigger one. It's the LTAD project, where we try, where all the federations of Luxembourg try to implement a certain way of thinking sports in Luxembourg, and to make the kids and everybody in Luxembourg be more active. The third one we have in collaboration with the ministry is about motor skills. So we created a motor skills coach education at a C-level course, because we are aware that the state of children today is not the same than years ago. So a 10 years old child today is not the same child as I was when I was 10. And because of that, we try to make coaches aware of the importance of the motor skills. We often in football go to the to more complicated things, but if they don't have the basis, the motor skills basis, they can't do techniques or things that are more complicated. As already told, then we have three bigger projects. The first one is the football is not all, but much more. It's our football in schools project. First, it's a project where we try to convince the authorities, teachers, educators, of the importance of physical activity. and above all the football, of course, because we are a football federation. The biggest point of the project are the CPD courses we try to implement for teachers and educators. And what we want to try is that these CPD courses are recognized by the Ministry of Education, because I think for sure in other countries the teachers have to make some hours of CPDs during the year. So we want to have our CPD courses recognized, to have more sports in the schools and more football if possible. And at least the last point of the project, or the end of the project, is that we want a better communication between the schools, after school structures, and the football clubs, so that football is available for every kid in Luxembourg. The schools, and above all in Luxembourg, the after school structures must know in the city or in the village who they have to contact in the football club if they have a girl or a boy who wants to play football. So we want people to come closer in that way. Another project, a bigger project we have, concerns our coach education, and more specifically our second level course. In that course, we want to implement, or at the moment, the candidates have to come 2 weekends, 2 times 16 hours. And we want to reformulate the course, making a common course of 16 hours. And after that, the coaches have the possibility to choose the topics they are more interested in, to in a certain way decide themselves about their coach education pathway at this level. Further on, the proposed models will also be used as CPD courses for the C level, and we want to use these models also for the creation of a youth coordinator certification. And as you see in the proposed models, we will have really football-related models. We will have more general models as youth injuries, or refereeing, or football, or parents in football, so that we can propose to everybody information about the topic he's more interested. And at least the last project I would like to speak about, it's a little bit the same. We are going the same way, or trying to go the same way than Sweden. It's the Let Us Play Football project. It's our game mode reform from under 7 to under 13. I first of all go to the more detailed what we are doing or want to do in future. The first one, under 7, is already running. For the moment not, because we kids can't play football or can't play matches in Luxembourg for the moment because of the pandemic situation. In the under 7, what we have started last September is to go from a 6 versus 6 game format to a 3 versus 3 game format with no referee, because we want them to try to manage themselves like we did when we were kids on the street. So they have just the coaches who try just to manage, because every team is allowed to have from 6 to 8 players, so they have to change every time. So they have work enough to manage the players who are not playing at that moment, and they let them play who are on the pitch. We remarked that the matches are much more intensive. Kids have more fun. They score more goals, because if as you see on the right, we don't have goals, or the way we proposed was without goals, because we wanted to have as less as possible contrast. So we didn't want the clubs to say, okay, we can't do it because we have to buy new goals. So we told them, okay, then make 2 codes like we did it 30 years ago. The important is that kids play football. And for the kids, there's no problem if there is a goal or there are 2 codes. They don't make the difference. They would just want to have fun and play football. And the returns we are having in the coach education is that, yeah, it was for us the hardest point to go through, because people were a lot against it. They often told that's nothing to do with football. It's schoolyard football, but that's what we wanted. So to convince people, it took almost 2 years. But now we started it, and the next steps will be much more easy for us to implement. So this is running. Kids are happy, so we are happy too. Then we have the under-9. In the under-9, we will go from a 6 versus 6 plus goalkeeper to a 4 against 4 plus goalkeeper. In the same way of having as less as possible contra, we will use the same goals we had until now, but these are relatively big. The only thing we will do is to have some kind of a banner we will fix at the top of the goal, so to make the goal be just 1.5 meter high and not 2 meters high. So the little goalkeeper has the possibility to defend his goal properly. Then we go to the under 11. In the under 11, we will go from a 8 versus 8 plus goalkeeper to a 6 versus 6 plus goalkeeper. If you see on the left, the pitches at the moment don't be like football pitches. It's a square. It's not a football pitch, and therefore we also adapt the sizes and the forms of the pitches to have more verticality. So as our Swedish colleagues also said, to have less space, so they have to improve themselves by playing technically. We want them to have more the verticality, so to try to be to play offensive football, and in that way educate them in the football philosophy we want them to have later on. And at least our under 13, where the ideas are quite the same. So the pitch for the moment is very large for them, very much too big for them. So we go in the same idea of the verticality, and then we will go to 8 versus 8 plus goalkeeper, and now they are playing already 11 against 11. So in the same ideas. So the first 11 category we want to have in the future is the under 15 category, because in our philosophy we go at that stage, we start to try to develop players, more players in the youth categories until under 13. In the coach education we just speak about techniques, because we also are convinced that this point has an influence on the dropout, because we think that if a kid can play football or is good in playing football, he will he won't quit football. He will try to continue playing. But if he's not so skillful, and if he has problems playing football, as the coaches want them to play in the under 15 or under 17, the quitting football is much more easier for them. The decision is much more easier to quit. So just to come back a little bit on what we try to change in in this project is yes, the number of players, form sizes of the pitches, more activity, more goals, more fun. That's what we want for our kids. Learn football by touching the ball more times. So due to the number of players, they have more experiences, learn through experiences, their own experiences. And as you saw with the numbers, we try to go progressively to an 11 versus 11. And indirectly, we try the coaches to have less influence during the matches. What we tell them during the coach education is they have to interfere during the training. They have to give them solutions during the training, and the match is just a test to see if what they have done during the week also has been understood by the kids and if they do it. And yeah, at the end, try to reduce the influence of their environment, parents and everybody that is around the field. And at least, yeah, give the children an opportunity to learn like we did years ago. We didn't have a coach all the time on the side who told us what to do. We need coaches with a certain kind of competences. One of the competences we focus a lot is the social competency. We want coaches who see the kids as a whole, not just as a football player, but as a whole, who speak with them, who question them, who ask how was school, how is it at home. But just when kids and football players in general, just when they feel good in their head, they can also be good on the pitch. To conclude, one more time, my learnings from my first Grassroots conference, the major learnings I had, and I hope to become in our turn a little bit a sort of inspirators for other nations by what we are trying to do. At least, because Stuart, I still have 2 minutes to present, so no stress this time. So I would also like to thank my colleagues, because yeah, first my president, because the trust he gives me, and also because I can ask him for a salary increase, and then of course my colleagues in the middle is Manu Cardoni, my chief coach, head coach in the under-19, under-21, our next technical director, Sven Kerscher, who gives me a big help in everything about coach education, grassroots, and then my educators who work almost all weekends as a part-time educators to transmit our messages to the coaches coming to our coach education, and they are all also coaches in the football national football school. So they have three jobs. The thing I just could do was to thank them. So thank you for your attention. I'm just in time, so if you have questions, you can go on.
No, thank you, Claude. Again, I'm sure an inspirational presentation to many, with some really great reminders around the value of your approach to children's football and the impact that it can have on the young person, not only the footballer. A question from Angeline. Is there a formation sort of guidance document that you use for your coach education when you talk about the different formats? And I guess, how do you get your grassroots coaches to clearly understand the benefits of the different kind of formats? So 7v7, 9v9, the more complex games. How do you, within your education, get the coaches to understand the differences and the benefits of the formats?
The first we do about the logbook. We started with under-7, so we prepared a logbook about just this category. First, to make people understand what we want, as I said before, it was the biggest issue we had was to implement that the third versus 3 versus 3. And now we are working on the under 9s. So for each category we prepare a logbook to give the people, and we support that logbook with tests. So we make test sessions. We had for the under 3, we had 4 test sessions where all the people of the country are invited to come. We make it in the regions, so we show them practically how it is, and we are as coaches and as educators on site to discuss with the people when they have questions. So we really try to have a close relationship with people involved in football, so they can challenge us, ask questions during the sessions. And the last point we had was a film. So we filmed the under 3 against under 3 to spread to people, to have them to one more time to explain what we do, why we do it, and what the benefits we hope of it. And now what we want to have now is the mouth-to-mouth publicity, and that's what's going on now. They had not that many matches, but they already understood the benefits of the 3 versus 3, and the next steps will be much more easier to implement. And in the coach education, yeah, we speak about the small-sided games, all the benefits, why we do it. We try to, and all our courses, I often say the courses, the same course in 2 different weekends is often not the same, because we adapt a lot to the candidates who come. So if we would challenge them to question us, and on the topics or on their interesting topics, we try to answer as well as we can. And I think that's also a point why people like to come to us.
And clearly you're doing something right, Claude, as you say, with a 60% increase in numbers now of people wanting to attend your coach education and seeing the value of it, especially at Grassroots,
yeah.
Which I know, I'm sure signifies the massive steps you've made over the last few years. So again, thanks and well done. Okay, I think we've exhausted all the questions. So if I can just really, again, thank you, Claude and Gunnar and Ramin for the presentations. Excellent today. And before I hand back to Frank, just to inform everybody that next week's session will be a session with the English FA and the FA Learning team, Nick Baker, where we're going to talk about the change, I guess, within the FA from a more physical approach in terms of numbers on the ground, the coach educators in the counties, towards a more digital approach and digital engagement for grassroots football. And we'll explore their future plans around digital and content strategies, the learning and development design that's going behind that, and share with you some content examples, and also how they engage the county FAs, the regions, to really provide the in-service CPD and support for coaches. So again, hopefully that's something different to look forward to next week, around a bit more of a focus on digital and content, and the way that the FA are looking to engage learners on a mass basis in that digital space. So we look forward to that. Okay, I'm going to hand back to you, Frank. I know you've got 1 or 2 comments to say, and I'm sure Pearl will maybe have some words to say for Sweden. And
yes, absolutely. I would ask Per already to get ready for his intervention at the very end. I'd just like to thank all 3 colleagues who presented this morning an excellent insight, and it was really heartwarming to see all the motivation, the engagement, and the appropriate way of dealing with coach education at the grassroots level and dealing with the kids. That is so important. And I also like to announce that you can look forward to another survey coming from UEFA. We did this a couple of years ago, where we asked all associations about playing formats and is there a national match pathway in place. I think we should refresh this overview, because a lot of things have moved in really into the right direction. And I was also really pleased to hear that what we offer as part of the Grassroots conferences has had an impact on your respective national environment. And that is really fantastic to hear from you, from those who presented this morning. Per, would you like to come in quickly?
I would start by saying thank you, Gunnar and your colleagues from Sweden, and you, Claude, and your colleagues. In particular, I have to mention to you that the picture of Paul Philippe, he was a good player, at least according to himself. But what is enjoyable and fantastic is the way that you have approached the children's game, the youth game, and so on and so forth. I'm delighted to see that 3v3 is now being anchored among the smallest ones. Don't forget the girls here. Don't forget the possibilities which are there in sporting terms and social terms of mixed teams among the girls, among the youngest ones. And I would also like to mention one other particular thing, and that is it necessary that we need refereeing among the smallest ones? It was said it was used to educate and recruit young players, but be aware, don't let them stop the development, but let them be a passive, active learning partner of the whole development. If you go to a country like Germany, Wales, some other countries, they don't apply referees among the youngest at all. So that's a way of thinking also for the future. And then start actively recruiting, of course, of referees when a few years later. It's important now in the pandemic times that we are having, that the product that UFA's national associations are delivering to the hundreds and thousands and millions who want to be there, who want to be a part of our family, active, and we have the chance now. So instead of finding excuses for not doing something, use education, use what you are doing, use the new formats actively to recruit new young players so we can enter the future with even more optimism and be a factor in our societies which are really counting. Good luck, all of you, and thank you.
I think we have to thank you for this strong message, Per. And again, from my side, a big thank you to Ramin, Gunnar, and Claude for having shared their best practice in terms of coach education, playing formats, and so on. So I wish everybody at this moment a wonderful weekend. Have a restful time, and most importantly, stay healthy. See you very soon, at the latest next Friday. Same place, same occasion. Take good care.